Personal finance is a term that covers managing your money as well as saving and investing. It encompasses budgeting, banking, insurance, mortgages, investments, and retirement. Talk about tax and, of course, estate planning. It involves an entire industry and professionals that provide financial services to individuals and households by advising them about finances and investment opportunities. So to put this discussion in a proper perspective, I'm being joined by Victor Aluyi, who is a senior vice president and, of course, the head of the investment Sankore Global Investments. He's going to be a professional on the show this morning, even as we take a look at personal finance. Thank you so much, Victor, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's start by taking a look and understanding what personal finance means and what importance it holds when you talk about taking periodic inventory of how you have expended your finance during the course of the year.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we all have financial goals. We all have things that we want to achieve and attain, and finances are a very veritable, valuable platform or tool through which you would attain those goals. Whether you're trying to buy a car, whether you're saving towards your rent, whether you're saving towards school fees for your kids or for yourself, whether you're looking to move to another area, whatever goal that you're looking to attain, you need finances to be able to attain that. And then, of course, the ability to be able to tailor or channel your finances to meet those goals through whatever means really essentially will constitute what you would describe as personal finance.
So are there parameters that one can consider or that one should consider as adequate or essential when it comes to evaluating one's expenditure as against income?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's important to look at how much it is that you earn in every way and in every form, and then juxtapose that against the expenses that you have to bear. The idea is to ensure that you earn more than what it is that you spend. Beyond just earning and spending, you've also got to be able to save, because saving, again, forms the platform or the bedrock from which you can then invest to be able to earn more money. So it is important to be able to look at how much it is that you're able to put aside, whether you earn your income on a weekly, on a daily, or probably on a monthly basis. It is important to be able to get a really good sense of how much you're able to put aside. It is also extremely important to be able to track your expenses such that if you find yourself in a situation where at the end of whatever period you realize that you're not able to put anything away, it will help you dimension and create a situation where you are able to either cut down on certain expenses or reduce on certain expenses to ensure that you are able to have something left that you can put away. That will create a platform through which you can save and then obviously invest, going into the future.
All right, let's take a look at the issue of budgeting, because, of course, that also, in tandem with what you're saying, helps you to know what comes in and how much you need to expend in certain areas of your endeavor. Now, how would you describe the spending patterns of Africans, or let's say Nigerians, in 2022? Would you say they've been frugal, or would you say they've been frivolous?
I mean, with the sort of economic situation that we've been in, it's difficult for you to have had any sort of frivolities around, spending. We've had very, very high inflation that has essentially ensured that people are certainly not able to buy as much as they could buy about a year ago, because what inflation does is to reduce your purchasing power. So if inflation is as high as what we have, essentially your purchasing power is significantly dented. So I don't think that there would have been any room for any sort of frivolous spending. Again, if you look at Nigeria and our spending pattern, really, you would see that we spend quite a substantial amount of our income on the basics of life, food and shelter, really, and mostly food, actually. If you look at the CPI basket for Nigeria, about half of that basket is on food, and the reason is because that is channeled around our spending pattern. So you see Nigerians spending quite some money on food. And of course, if you look at how expensive food has become this year, it gives you a real sense of, how Nigerians have spent. And certainly, I don't think that there's been any frivolity in that spending at all.
In one of our slides that we showed now, we let people know that personal finance has to do with savings and spendings, and of course investments. And one of those investments is insurance, and that is one financial decision that some people are opting for, purchasing insurance, of course, to improve their personal finances and in case of exigencies. Now, what advice would you give if someone is hoping to look at insurance, and how do you think they can go about it to ensure that they make the best of it in terms of decisions being made?
Well, I mean, I think that the insurance industry in Nigeria has grown fairly well over the last couple of years and continues to improve. Again, the insurance product that you take out or decide to invest in is largely dependent on the peculiarities of your circumstances. If you're a small business person, there are different kinds of insurance policies that would suit you, that would help hedge against any risk that might come up. There are insurance that would cover your health, for instance, to help ensure that if there are any health emergencies, you're not having to dip into your personal finances to take care of that. For small businesses, you have insurance that cover stuff like goods in transit, stuff that like fire and all of that. So the insurance that you would take out really would depend on your own personal or peculiar circumstances. It really isn't a one cap fits all, but I think that there are broad policies that typically help. Policies around health insurance, policies that ensure that your finances are not depleted when there is a health challenge. Policies that also help with retirement. And within the insurance industry, there are also a number of investment products that essentially would help to optimize return on the funds that you have. So your insurance decision will largely be dependent on the idiosyncrasies that surround you at the time.
All right. Now, Victor, we understand that the economy has not been favorable for individuals and corporate establishments for the last 3 years. Of course, you talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, you talk about inflation, talk about the Russia-Ukraine crisis, several economic debilitating factors. Now, how can one save in such a situation where there is inflation, hiking prices, and people have to deal with low income? How would one save when you don't even have enough coming into your coffers?
I mean, there are times when it's difficult to save, and there are times when you really are unable to save. And this year has proven to be one of those. So your income really hasn't grown. Inflation is doing 20%. Interest rates are high. The best that you can do is to cut back on spending that is discretionary. Again, like I highlighted earlier, very little of our spending is discretionary. We're spending money on a lot of stuff that are absolutely necessary, like food. So what would then happen is that you probably then have to cut back on your food intake, cut back on certain luxury food items that you typically would consume before now. And that would apply to really the upper middle class. If you go down the rung or down the pyramid, there's really almost no room for any saving to happen. So it is to just hold on, and this period blows over, and then you can certainly rearrange your personal finances. And personal finance decisions are tailored towards periods like this, where you've been able to build up some kind of buffer that ensures that when you come into these periods that are usually very challenging, it doesn't take a significant toll on you.
All right, let's talk about retirement savings too, because that's another way of planning for the future. How will you describe how Africans have actually expended their finances and planned towards retirement savings in this outgoing year, that is the year 2022? How have they fared?
I mean, in Nigeria, for instance, there are policies that ensure that you do that as long as you're working. Even if you're a business person and even a small business person, there's also the micro pension scheme. So I think the government has done well in terms of policy that ensures that people are able to save towards retirement. Whether that is optimal and whether people exactly get what they want at retirement really remains to be seen. A huge swath of retirees will probably be coming up in about 7 to 10 years' time if you go by the Pension Reform Act that kicked in 2004, and obviously the one that was also revised. So retirement saving is already set in stone, if you will, by the enactment of these policies. So I think what the government has also done is quite commendable to ensure that net is significantly broadened. Today we sit on about 14 trillion worth of pension assets. So I'd say that in that wise, a lot of people have taken advantage of it. Even the economy, if you will, particularly small and medium scale businesses, are also taking advantage of it through the micro pension scheme. So on that front, I think that we have done well and certainly would continue to do better and improve.
All right. So finally, Victor, looking at 2023, or let's pick it from 2022 down into 2023. Now, what are those investments that people actually put their money into, and the ones they fail to explore? Because we're stepping into the new year, and we need to have an informed decision as per how to improve our finances.
I mean, 2022 was a very difficult year. So the truth of the matter is that in any risk assets in 2022, chances are that you've kind of lost money, and going into 2023 doesn't necessarily seem clearer, right? There's still a lot of clouds over the horizon. Inflation is still high. Central banks are still hiking interest rates and have given an impression that they will continue to hike until inflation comes under control. So there's still going to be a lot of uncertainty, although we don't expect that the volatility next year would be as bad as what we've seen, this year. So I think a lot of caution, looking for assets that might not necessarily give you great returns, but will keep your funds safe.
Okay.
Might be a good way to approach it going into next year.
All right. Thank you so much, Victor Aluyi, for being our financial expert this morning on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, as 2022 winds down, it is important to have a better understanding of the dynamics of finance in order to make more lucrative and less riskier investment decisions. Now, takeaways from today's discussion should help you control your spending habits and maximize opportunities for more profitable use. So I hope that you can take a cue from what Victor has said today to see how you can have a better and a more prosperous 2023 in terms of your finance. That is our edition, or that is today's edition of Business Edge for today. You can follow us on social media. We are at New Central TV. Do not forget to head to our website, www.newcentral.africa, and download our mobile app on App Store and Play Store. We have so much information loaded there for your pleasure. My name is Lekon Obanjo. Until next time, do have a beautiful day, and of course, happy celebrations to everyone.